Back in 2020, when Instagram rolled out Reels, their like scrolly, video-first TikTok-type experience, I don't know if you remember this, but people were really mad. Kylie Jenner, for example, one of the world's most famous people with over 400 million followers on Instagram, posted to her audience, "Stop trying to be TikTok. I just want to see cute photos of my friends. Sincerely, everyone." And it really was everyone who thought that. One of my favorite YouTubers, Peter McKinnon, posted a video around that time called The End of Instagram. Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, posted a video explaining these changes, and if you look at the comments, people were just livid. Not only were they furious, but they also were very clear that they didn't want this. I'm just gonna read you a random sampling of these comments. "It sucks. You are ruining Instagram. I want to see people I follow. I don't want to see random pet videos or toddlers doing karate. That is all stupid. Cancel Reels. Stop trying to be TikTok. I just hate being bombarded with recommendations which are 99% of no interest to me. Too many Reels. You ruin the app because you desperately want to be a TikTok clown. Please keep Instagram the same. Literally just stop forcing Reels and give us back what we loved about Instagram." Just go and scroll through some of these comments and you'll see what I mean. There's 36,000 of them. Overwhelmingly negative. But the most interesting thing to me about this entire situation is that these people were all wrong. And they were really wrong. Since the introduction of Reels, Instagram usage is up by over 40%. That was at the end of 2023. And on their most recent earnings release in Q1 2024, they announced that Reels usage was up by yet another 10%. And with every jump in Instagram usage, Meta stock reaches a new all-time high. So it turns out that people actually really do want stupid cat videos and toddlers doing karate in their feed. They might say they don't, or even think they don't, but when given the choice, they will watch them. And to a degree far more than when the app just consisted of cute photos of your friends. To me, it's pretty remarkable that we can be so wrong about something as core to who we are as what we want to do with our own time. Right now, the average American spends 1.5 hours on Instagram and TikTok per day. But I bet you that if you were to go and poll people in the morning and ask them, "Hey, do you want to spend 1.5 hours today scrolling through Instagram and TikTok videos?" I bet you that many or most people would say no. Certainly I would say no. And while I would like to think that I am above being hooked on these algorithms, I am not. I can tell you that much. And like many of you, I am sure, there have been plenty of times when I've opened Instagram just to respond to a friend's message and find myself in a video-induced stupor that I snap myself out of half an hour later, and I'm just kind of staring around my room thinking, what just happened? It's one thing if I choose to sit down and watch, an hour-long lecture about how ultra-processed food is bad for you. But it's entirely another when I sit down with the intention of just writing a message to somebody and end up getting snookered into this infinite scroll video experience, which I didn't even want in the first place. I would just reflect to myself, wow, that was a waste of time. Even more important was not that it was a waste of time, but the bigger thing was how I wasn't even in control of what I was doing with my own time. Look, I think different people can have different conclusions about this type of experience, but for me, what it felt like was I was being cheated. My time was being literally stolen from me, like how a slot machine gradually sucks out your money. And these experiences got me thinking a little bit deeper about what it is that we really want. In economics, there's a famous difference between expressed preference and revealed preference. Expressed preference is what people tell you they want. Revealed preference is what they actually do. And it turns out those two things are not always the same. A perfect example of an expressed preference might be something like, I want to eat more vegetables. Whereas a revealed preference might be, I actually eat cookies instead. This is certainly true for me for a good long time, until I started losing weight a few months ago, which, you may have seen that video. The UN reports that 45% of all vegetables are thrown out every year. And I couldn't find the statistics on what percentage of Flaming Hot Cheetos are thrown out every year, or what percentage of Oreos, but I bet you it's not very high, you know? And so I feel like with the internet, we're all participants in this giant experiment that we never signed up for. And from the perspective of Wall Street, the fact that we're all spending so much time scrolling is a great thing. Meta stock is hitting new all-time highs every single day. But from our perspective, look, I don't know about you, but I personally resented all the time I was spending scrolling. It wasn't even just that I resented the time wasted, but I resented the fact that I wasn't even choosing to have my time taken from me in that way. I was just waking up 7 in the morning to check on somebody's message, you know, and then half hour later I'd be snapping out of it, thinking to myself, like, what just happened? You know, I just got like smashed in the head by a baseball bat of infinite scroll. I wanted to be eating vegetables, but I was getting tricked into eating cookies instead. And by the way, I think the analogy with food is such a strong one in the way that companies have engineered these fast food delights to be so appealing to our taste buds that we just eat and eat and eat and overeat and get obese, just like I did. And we didn't even know how we became obese, but all of a sudden we're obese. And I think the same exact thing holds for social media. We just scroll and scroll and scroll, and all of a sudden we're spending hours on our phones scrolling every day. And like, where did that come from? I decided that I was going to do something about this. And so right around the same time, I started to aggressively lose weight by not eating cookies and eating only vegetables. I also decided to start getting control back over my own attention. And so I decided to almost completely stop using the internet. That's kind of the clickbaity version of what I did, because I did still message my friends and family and send messages and emails for work, etc., which, you know, technically does count as the internet. So I guess a more accurate way of saying what I did was that I stopped using algorithms. I removed Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc. from my phone, and to keep in touch with my family and friends, what I did instead was I just bookmarked a link to the Instagram direct message pages in my browser, so I wouldn't even have to open the app if I wanted to message them. I wanted to avoid that like judo that Instagram does when you open the app just to send a message to your friends, and all of a sudden, like, boom, it's, you know, these videos are coming at you. So I just did all my messaging from my web browser instead. And the other thing that I did, which actually for me was an even bigger deal than getting rid of Instagram and Facebook, I stopped reading the news online completely. Because for me, actually, Google News was an even bigger problem than Instagram was. It's the same kind of infinite scroll experience, but the way that I always felt about news, the thing with Instagram was, like, I had enough self-control to be able to notice when I was falling down this rabbit hole of infinite scroll, and I had better things to do than scroll watching these videos all the time. So I'd be able to put the brakes and stop myself. But where I didn't have self-control was over news consumption. Because to me, reading the news every day, it felt like eating vegetables. I'm just becoming a more informed citizen, right? You know, I'm just reading news. But what I actually realized, scrolling through Google News, it was just TikTok by another name. It's essentially the same experience as mindlessly scrolling through Instagram. It's kind of like how Shake Shack positions itself as fancy, more artisanal version of McDonald's. In reality, the food at Shake Shack is as bad for you or worse for you than the food at McDonald's. Doesn't the infinite scroll through the news actually give you more knowledge and make you an informed citizen? Sure, they're tricking you, but they're just tricking you into eating vegetables, right? That was what I thought too. But the more that I reflected, the more that I realized that that type of daily news consumption actually is not eating your vegetables. Instead, it's mindless entertainment of the same variety that you're going to encounter on TikTok. A perfect example of this, I think, is the Sam Altman drama. Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, he was initially dismissed by the board, which was front page news in all major world newspapers. Then a day later, Microsoft hires Sam Altman, and a day after that, OpenAI fires and hires a totally different CEO. And he was eventually brought back, all within 5 days, to the same exact situation 5 days prior. He's fired and replaced and brought back multiple times with so much drama, but the end result is absolutely nothing has changed. So I could have learned the exact same information and be no less informed about the Sam Altman drama had I just been a weekly consumer of news rather than a daily consumer of news. I just pick up the paper once a week and I find out that Sam Altman was dismissed and came back. So what I started to think about with daily news was how I was being hooked in for the purpose of Google to increase its engagement with their news apps. And I was being, like, again, judoed into these emotional psychodramas that I didn't want to participate in. Like, why do I care if Sam Altman is dismissed and then he's brought back? Oh, but then he's dismissed again. But then he's brought back again. Oh no, I don't care. Why do I have to be involved in that drama? And the emotional impact on my attention is so great when I follow the vacillations of the story of Sam Altman, the head of the world's hottest company, being dismissed and brought back and being dismissed and brought back again. It was this emotional drain on me that I just didn't want to participate in anymore. And so I also deleted the news app from my phone, and I deleted the news widgets from my computer, so when I opened my computer in my morning, I wouldn't have like a blast of headlines. I actually read the news the old-fashioned way on a magazine once every week. The only funny thing about this was that people would occasionally give me some spoilers on the news throughout the week in funny ways. Like they would say, oh, so what did you think about the president's reaction to this major world event that just happened? I was like, wait, what major world event? But I didn't really mind that because honestly, the gains that I got from just not having this emotional burden, the very unnecessary emotional burden of following these daily headlines that I just didn't need in my life. The most valuable part of this whole experience was just seeing how removing these things from my life, after I removed them, I didn't miss them. The initial window for the experiment was, I was just planning for it to be a few weeks. After the experiment ended, I did bring the apps back to my phone, but I actually don't use them anymore. I mean, like today my Instagram usage is like 2 minutes. It just showed me how much these apps actually don't add to my life. And so I no longer really have cravings for them, you know, particularly the news. I just honestly feel way better about my own news consumption and how I use my attention. But of course, I just have more free time to spend with my kids or working, which I love to do, or working out, or yes, even watching videos. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong actually with watching videos. You know, if I want to sit down and watch a 2-hour debate between Slavoj Žižek and Jordan Peterson, you know, like I can do that and not feel bad about it. But I have to consciously make that choice. And I didn't want that choice to be made for me by YouTube or by Instagram or by Facebook.